What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Azura Media Club, home of the Bad Girl Coven. I'm your Coven leader, Emily. Let's talk about Monsters, Inc. today. Pixar finally branching into something that's not Toy Story. I mean, there was A Bug's Life, of course, which was great, but this is like the first official step, I feel like, into actual Pixar, you know? Not that Toy Story is not, but you know what I mean? Like, something other than that. Um, and I find it to be a great movie. I mean, I know that's not an unpopular opinion. That's what everyone seems to think it's a great movie, of course. I still don't know if I like it quite as much as Toy Story, but it is good. It does have like a whole new world of like monsters and like lots of cool designs there and stuff. Visually, again, like every movie seems to like really kick it up a notch visually. Um, Another friggin' Randy Newman soundtrack. I think he just did like all of these up until I don't think he did the next one. I don't think he did Finding Nemo. And I noticed they started kind of a trend here where it's like the Easter egg trend about the next movie. So you saw um, you saw Nemo in a couple of scenes there as like a toy, and they even referenced the previous movie with Jessie doll in Boo's room there. So the whole premise is obviously like there's these two monsters, Mike and Sully. They're like the top scarers. There's this whole scare thing. They do it for energy, basically. Um, but, you know, they're still, like, in an energy crisis and stuff. Um, it's still difficult to get energy because kids just aren't as scared these days or whatever. You know, that was, like, the whole thing. So they're, like, devising this plan in the background, which is kind of a twist later in the movie that, like, Randall and Waternoose, the like guy who runs Monsters Inc., there are devising this thing to like literally extract the screams out of children, which is just like really messed up, and it's like this whole bad thing. But basically, as they're scaring one day, Boo kind of finds her way into the monster world, and so Mike and Sully slowly learn she's not that dangerous, like they said. Like, it's ironic because like the monsters are afraid of kids, because they're told that they're like poisonous or toxic or something, which quickly gets dispelled early on in the movie. But yeah, it's a lot of the dynamic of just seeing these characters, and especially Mike and Sully, and then Sully and Boo uh, interact and bond and go on an adventure trying to get Boo back home. And of course, again, there's lots of great scenes. Um, Funny thing is like Billy Crystal, who's the Mike in this movie, was actually offered the role of Buzz Lightyear and he turned it down. And then Tim Allen took on the role of Buzz Lightyear, and he always regretted that. He said that was like one of the biggest mistakes of his career, is that he didn't um, take that role, you know, Buzz Lightyear there. So yeah, but he got this role, so that's great. Um, so and Mike and Sully's like dynamic is really good, and they're the classic duo, you know. They have a good back and forth. Um, and you know, Mike cares about Boo later on in the story, but at first he just kind of wants to get rid of her, so he'll do that by any means. And then, but even by the middle there, you see he's like, that's not her door, and you know, like before he was ready to just throw her in some random door, and now he actually kind of cares where she ends up. So, um, and it's a really touching dynamic between Boo and Sully. You know, he's a very father-like character for her, and he just wants to get her back home. And you know, of course, when they have to say goodbye and everything, that's really sad. And everyone's like, oh, I'd really like a Monsters Inc. 2 to kind of like show Boo and Sully like coming back together. And they have that in a comic that they did. They also did a show after this, which was okay. It was like thoroughly okay. It was about this other guy. At the end of the movie, they find out laughter is like better than scream, so they just like convert to laughter. So the show is about following a new guy, like trying to become a laugh guy because he was like trained to be a scarer or whatever. It's okay. It's thoroughly okay. It's fine, you know. But the original movie here is great. There's also the prequel, Monsters University, of course, which I think is a pretty good movie. Most people like to dog on that one like it's not great. I saw a pretty great video about it, I don't know, like a couple months back or something, and it was good, but yeah. I think Boo is kind of the star of the movie there. I mean, if there's like a main character, it's definitely like Sully, but Boo kind of steals the show sometimes, you know, and she's in all the best emotional scenes and the best... It's always about her in some way or another. So, yeah. And apparently, like, her dialogue is all, like, they just followed this little kid around and, like, recorded what she was saying and stuff, and they, like, made scenes around that, like, her actions in the movie around that stuff. So it's just interesting. You know, and Randall, the classic Pixar villain, he's pretty devious. I don't know if he's, like, Hopper or, like, he's probably, like, a step above Prospector, obviously, level devious, and then, like, nowhere near Lotso, obviously. Like, that guy's just the worst. Am I gonna mention Lotso in every fucking Pixar review? I pretty much am. If there's gonna be a villain, I'm gonna mention Lotso, because, he's always the worst. So, yeah. It's not really a villain in the next movie, if I remember correctly, so... Yeah, I can't really think of one. So I probably won't mention Lotso in that one. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, there's some good comedy to it. There's some good lore behind the world, and it's just a cool world to see. There's a lot of theories about this one too, like they're time traveling back in time in these doors or something, back to a time when humans like still existed or something. There's a whole Pixar theory, you know, obviously that's a whole other thing. So, but it's definitely just like a classic Pixar movie for sure. You know, like, I feel like the characters learn and grow by the end for sure. There's some good twists is another thing, like, you know, with Water Noose, you kind of think he's, you know, just trying to fix this scare crisis, or the energy crisis at first, but then you kind of figure out he's a little bit worse off. He's a little bit worse. I mean, I guess, yeah, so he's a pretty bad villain too, in a way. I don't know if he's necessarily as bad as Randall, maybe? I don't know. But it's kind of like, because Sully looks up to him, and then, like, you know, by the end, he kind of, you know, never meet your heroes kind of thing or something. I don't know. He kind of, his image of him is very different, you know, by the end. Oh, the whole, you know, Roz angle, I forgot that, like, oh, you didn't file your paperwork, Wazowski, all that shit, and then, you know, she's part of the child detection agency, you know, 2319, that whole thing. That's pretty good. Lots of just classic Pixar things in this movie. Notably, one that's kind of missing the A113. Uh, People have like tried to sort it out and find it in the movie, but you know, it's very well hidden if it is in there. So most of the other ones have it somewhere in the movie. I really wasn't paying attention to the newer ones, like maybe like Turning Red and stuff. It's probably in there somewhere. I just can't really think of where it is in there, but it's in pretty much every Pixar movie, and in some other movies too. Um, yeah, I mean, I like Monsters Inc. I like the world. I like the characters and the dynamic and stuff. I think I appreciate Monsters Inc. more though because of the prequel. You know, there's a lot of good character stuff in the prequel. You know, here they're kind of just established characters. They play off of each other well, but they don't have to learn quite as much as they do, I feel like, in the prequel. You know, they learn to actually like each other. They learn to like, you don't have to be like scary to like actually know what's going on, how to scare people. I mean, that was like Mike's whole journey in that movie. That was really cool. And I've seen some good videos on that, and I like that angle. I feel like a lot. So, um, you know, so like I think that movie definitely makes this movie better. Unlike a lot of prequels will do for source material, you know, like, um, but you know, yeah, I don't know. It's just a classic Pixar movie about monsters. You know, the whole old meme like, what if monsters could feel, right? That's like always, what if toys could feel? What if, you know, bugs could feel? That's like the joke is like every Pixar movie is just like, it's really simplification, obviously, of what Pixar does and does well, you know, but very entertaining, very emotionally, you know, it gets you to feel for sure. Um, Boo is like adorable. There's a lot of good action kind of scenes. Like there's a the chase scene with the doors and all of that. That's a really fun concept. You know, like going through the doors and then they have to like they'll end up on a different spot and like the chase. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great movie. You know, overall, Monsters Inc. It's a classic Pixar movie, you know, about monsters. I don't know what else to really like dive into about it. I'm sure there's a lot I could talk about, but or analyze or whatnot, but it's it's overall just really solid, a good movie, a good follow up to like you know, we keep doing the hits here. You know, you got like Toy Story 1, like A Bug's Life. Okay, that was like lesser, I guess. Like, it's pretty underrated. But, you know, then you got like Toy Story 2, and then it's like Monsters Inc., and then it's like, you know, Finding Nemo, Cars. Like, these are the big ones, you know, like big Pixar movies that everyone remembers, you know? Um, yeah. Mike Wazowski, you know, like that's another the little kids are like Mike Wazowski, you know. Lots of funny and good memorable moments from the movie. Couple of memes obviously too, you know. And I'm sure it's very favorably remembered. Um, Obviously the music's great, still Randy Newman, so, you know, for now. Um, like I said, visually it's really cool. Apparently the like fur effects on Sully were kind of hard to do. Um, there's one in Incredibles where they always like obviously the human characters are like looking better at this point a little bit, um, but like in Incredibles it was like Violet's hair or something was another really hard one to do. It's always the hair for some reason. Um, they just had to like wait for the technology to be good enough. But like, I feel like these movies are just getting better and better looking, you know, as we go along, and they can do more with the newer technology. And you know, they were developing this technology, which is crazy because they were like pioneering this shit, which is it's just great. That's what's so cool about Pixar, you know, is just like they made like the first fully CG, full length like CG movie, which was Toy Story, and then they kept pioneering the technology to just get better and better and better, you know, as they went along. It's just great, you know. So they're the kings of this stuff. And you know, they could have just made visual movies. Every Pixar movie could just be The Good Dinosaur, you know, just some kind of visual thing. But they're not. They have emotion, good characters, and good music a lot of the time. You know, like 80% of the time, like the movies are just like all together like amazing, you know. So, and this is one of those, you know, for sure. So I like Monsters Inc. I'm gonna give it a 9.3 out of 10. So yeah, everything's great about it. I like it a lot, you know. So until next time, you know, stick around, subscribe to join the Bad Girl Coven, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Never forget, magic comes from the heart. And Emily, out.